Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're embarking on a seriously fascinating journey. We're going to look at the hard biological science proving that meditation isn't just some subjective, mystical experience. No, it's something that tangibly, physically alters the human body. So if you ever wondered what's actually happening under the hood when you sit down, close your eyes, and take a deep breath, well, you are in exactly the right place.
To kick things off, I want to pose an almost sci-fi question to you. Can we actually control our own minds? I mean, for the longest time, the idea of actively regulating our own brain function sounded like pure fantasy, right? Like something straight out of a comic book or a futuristic movie. But, as we'll see today, the science tells a very, very different story.
Actually, Jefferson Health puts this perfectly. Quote, "Mind control sounds a bit more like Stranger Things than real life, but we're actually getting closer to monitoring brain activity and in some cases, changing or strengthening desirable brainwave patterns." End quote. I absolutely love that. We're shifting right away from those purely mystical concepts and diving straight into the empirical reality. Mind control is a measurable, physical science.
Okay, let's dive right into this biological tour. First up, mind control made real. Second, writing the brainwaves. Third, rewiring the brain's structure. Fourth, hacking your very DNA. And finally, number 5, treating severe mental disorders. So part 1, mind control made real. We're grounding this ancient practice in modern science.
Now, to truly grasp the biology here, we first need to define what meditation actually is in a rigorous scientific context. Because let's face it, it's incredibly hard to measure something if you haven't properly defined it. Meditation isn't just one vague catch-all term. It's a collection of highly targeted, measurable psychological exercises. You've got focused attention, or FA, which is a sustained focus on a chosen object, like your breathing. Then there's open monitoring, or OM, and that's just pure awareness of feelings and thoughts without any judgment. We also have mindfulness, which beautifully integrates both of those. And finally, body-mind techniques, like Tai Chi or yoga, which combine physical movement with these mental states. The big takeaway here, each of these specific inputs yields a highly specific biological output.
All right, moving on to part 2, writing the brainwaves. Let's talk about measuring electrical energy in real time. Now that we've nailed down what these practices actually are, let's look at the absolute smallest measurable changes happening inside your head in real time. This starts with how billions of specialized neurons communicate via electrical activity. To see this, scientists use EEG, or electroencephalography. Basically, by attaching sensors to the scalp, we can detect bursts of electrical energy and record them as waves. EEG is literally incredible because it lets us see the physical shape of our thoughts. When your brain cells talk to one another, they produce these distinct waveforms that change their shape entirely depending on whether you're hyper-focused, super stressed, or totally at rest.
Think about it this way. When we're in an active brain state driven by beta waves, our sympathetic nervous system, our fight-or-flight response, is in overdrive. That leads to a high heart rate. But meditation actively shifts us into a relaxed state. Here we see alpha and theta waves take over. Your parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest mode, kicks in, and your heart rate variability goes way up. So why does all this matter? Well, shifting into this relaxed state literally feels like less subjective effort. Plus, alpha waves boost creativity and trigger the release of serotonin. That means this electrical shift acts as a completely natural antidepressant. How cool is that? And this brilliantly illustrates that there are multiple paths to hack these brainwaves. You don't just have to sit silently in a dark room if that's not your style. You can absolutely use high-tech methods, like neurofeedback wearables that read your brainwaves in real time, or you can listen to binaural beats audio to literally force your brain into an alpha state. Or, if you prefer, you can use traditional methods, things like mindfulness meditation or even high-intensity exercise, which floods your brain with endorphins and promotes those lovely alpha waves as you rest afterward. Both of these paths, high-tech or old school, can successfully hack your brain into a relaxed state.
To really understand how active this process is, think of feedback like the speedometers on a highway. Just as a flashing speedometer alerts you to slow down and change your driving behavior, neurofeedback, or even just your own deep breathing, feeds information back to you. It lets you actively monitor and steer your own mental state. You are in the driver's seat, intentionally shifting from high-stress beta waves into those calm, restorative alpha waves.
Which brings us to part 3, rewiring the brain's structure. We're talking long-term physical alterations now.
We just talked about temporary electrical waves, right? You can think of those as the brain's software. But what happens if you practice these techniques for a really long time? Well, you actually change the brain's hardware.
The first major structural target here is something called the default mode network, or DMN. When you're just sitting around doing nothing and your mind is racing with wandering thoughts or anxieties or, having those hypothetical arguments in the shower, your DMN is firing on all cylinders. But the biological research shows that long-term meditation physically attenuates or quiets down this specific network. You are quite literally turning down the volume dial on a distracted, anxious mind.
And MRI scans give us undeniable structural proof of these changes happening inside the human skull. It's wild. Meditators show increased hippocampal volume, which directly enhances memory. They also have enhanced cortical thickness in the prefrontal cortex and insula. That means they are literally building a thicker, denser brain. Their large-scale brain networks are physically reconstructed to support emotional regulation and self-awareness. It's honestly like going to the gym, but you're pumping iron to build gray matter.
Moving right along to Section 4, Hacking Your Very DNA. We are looking at changes at the cellular level.
As if building thicker brain matter wasn't enough, we are now zooming even deeper into the microscopic cells of your body to see how meditation manipulates your genetics. Have you ever heard of epigenetic aging? Basically, it's the deviation between the number of candles on your birthday cake and your DNA's actual biological age. And here's the truly incredible part. Advanced meditators physically alter how their genes are read and expressed. What does that mean in plain English? The rate of their epigenetic aging significantly slows down. Meditation is functioning at a quantifiable cellular level as a biological anti-aging tool. It's mind-blowing.
To understand exactly how it fights this aging process, we have to look at telomeres. Think of telomeres as those little protective plastic caps at the ends of your shoelaces, but, for your DNA. Every single time your cells divide, or when you experience intense physiological stress, these telomeres shorten. But researchers found that meditation doesn't just prevent the shortening of telomeres, it actually increases telomerase activity. That's the enzyme that repairs them. Plus, it elevates the expression of related genes like GAR1. You are actively repairing your cellular shoelaces using nothing but your mind.
And finally, Section 5, Treating Severe Mental Disorders. Let's move from the micro to the macro.
Okay, we've gone from electrical waves to brain tissue down to our very DNA. Now let's zoom all the way out to reveal how these biological mechanisms treat severe, real-world clinical illnesses. The scientifically validated scope of these interventions across the psychiatric spectrum is absolutely vast. We are talking about highly structured clinical applications for major depressive disorder, substance and addiction disorders, PTSD in veterans, ADHD, and yes, even schizophrenia. By restoring balance to the autonomic nervous system and calming inflammatory cytokines, the physical body is beautifully primed to heal the mind.
Just consider this staggering statistic for a second. In patients with major depressive disorder who've had 3 or more relapses, standard recurrence rates sit right around 78%. That's high. But when patients utilize mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, or MBCT, that recurrence rate drops drastically to 36%. That is rivaling the effectiveness of maintenance antidepressant medications, all by simply utilizing the brain's inherent biological capacity to rewire itself.
And if you want a true testament to just how powerful this biological mechanism is, get this. Clinical studies showed that just 8 months of meditation contributed to significant reductions in persistent hallucinations and delusions in severe schizophrenic patients who had suffered from the disease for more than 20 years. That is incredible. Even after decades of chronic illness, the brain retains the neuroplasticity to heal and restructure itself when it's given the right targeted inputs. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. We've traced the science from controlling your real-time electrical brainwaves to permanently thickening your cortex, all the way down to repairing the very telomeres in your DNA. Your biology isn't just fixed in stone, it's highly adaptable software and hardware just waiting for your input. So which biological mechanism will you choose to hack first? Thank you so much for exploring the incredible science of the mind with me today, and as always, stay curious.